Okay, so let's take a look at how you can draw heat map with the help of Seaborn library in Python. Right. So first thing, we will open terminal and then we will install this library called Seaborn, right? And also we will install Jupyter Lab. So pip install Jupyter-lab. Also we can use Seaborn. Right, once these two are installed, we are good to go. So next thing, we can open Jupyter Lab by typing Jupyter-lab or Jupyter Notebook. Either one of that would work. It's just that you will be presented with different dashboards based on those commands. Right, so Jupyter Notebook should open the classic dashboard, whereas Jupyter Lab should open the current new dashboard system where you can use multiple language in Jupyter, which includes Python and R. Right, now the next thing is opening that particular notebook. Right, so here as you can see the dashboard is opening and we have notebook. Let's type in import numpy as np and import Seaborn as SNS, right? Then we will try and get the data np dot random dot rand and then 1010, right? Next thing SNS dot heatmap, right? And then we will get data, right? And if we run this, it should output the most basic heat map. It may take a bit of time depending on how busy is your Jupyter Lab, right? As you can see, this is the current colors for your heat map, which we can change it to other colors later, right? Now we can also add square tiles to this. Simply have to type in square and set them to true, right? And if we select everything and run, should have the square tiles now, right? Say if you want to add border, you can simply use line width. Keep it equal to, let's say, 0.5, right? And line color set to say white, right? And let's see the output. As you can see, line color and line width gives you output like this. If you increase the line width, that should also increase the value of line between the tiles, right? And it should look something like this. So we added the color and width. We also added the square tiles. We also can add annotations, right? So let's say if I use comma, then anot equals to true and anot underscore kws and equals to size, right? Say size something like 6. Let's see how that would look. As you can see, the values of our data are now annotated into the heat map tiles, right? So you can experiment with the size and based on that it would give you much broader view, right? Now the thing is, let's say if I want to add color bar only when the data is like small enough, otherwise I want to remove this, right? So I can simply use C bar, set it to false, right? And if I run this, right, so notice that with the larger data you don't have any color bar now, and it shows you much clearer view, right? So clear view would give you idea of the small values as well. So if you add the bar again, it will kind of shrunk the map, right? So the thing is, we have our color bar annotations, border color, and also the square tiles, right? So next thing is, we can also add the axis labels, right? And also set them to false if you don't want them, right? So for that, however, we will be using x tick labels. You can set them to false and check how it will look. Notice x axis is gone. We can do the same for y axis as well. I can put this on the new line just to be clear, right? I can use y tick labels to false, right? So if you run this, right, syntax, perhaps you forgot comma, right? So run this, both x and y axis are now gone. Now the map is much more clear, right? Now what we can do is we can play around with the color schemes, right? So to do that, however, we will have to use one property called Cmap, right? The default one, as you can see, looks like this. Now if I change the default to the Cmap value of blues, it will turn into this blue color palette. It will also look a lot clearer as well, right? Now we can also take a look at the values like magma, right? If I run this, so notice that we made some error. Magma is not color name, right? So I will have to edit the uppercase to lowercase. If I run this, it would look the magma color like this, right? Then we have like this color palette BUPU, which is also one of the popular color map, right? So as you can see, this look pretty odd on this our heat map, right? So instead of this, stick with blues magma, and let's see if we have that popular green color palette. So YLGN, which is also one of the popular format. So it looks something like this, right? So you can use this as well. You can also change the size of annotations so that it will be more visible. And as you can see, size of 8 or 10 would give you a much clearer view, right? So now you can go back and experiment with the color palette that suits your case. So say blues. Now we will see how that would look, right? Now when you experiment with annotation size and you have the right color map, you can get better output with Heatmap. So the Cmap property is common with MATLAB as well as your Seaborn library too. So you just want to take a look at the one that works for you, right? There is also one more custom property which is called as center. You can set some value to it, say 0.5, and you can see what it does. You'll notice that it will add its own custom color as well. So you can play around with that. So say 0.7. Notice that color palette changes. So anything from 0.1 to 0.9. As you can see, Now the value of 0.1 shows more of red, so it moves from RGB, right? So it kind of balances those, right? So let's go with this, and now 0.3, let's go with 0.9, should be darker. As you can see, closer to 1 would go more dark. So these are some of the properties that you can adjust with Heatmap in Seaborn library. Depending on how you choose to play around with those values, you would be able to get much cleaner heat map. So the current CMap with YLGN seems to be the most common one that I have seen, right? So you will also find this type of heat map in GitHub as well, where your merge information is displayed something like this, except the annotation part that's not visible, right? So this is how you pretty much draw the heat map with Seaborn library in Python.